Today in group, we were talking about gaslighting, and I was teaching the women about a tool called DARVO, and I realized most of the women had never heard it before. So I wanted to do this quick video to give you another tool that you can recognize gaslighting and be able to step out of some of that crazy making. So DARVO is an acronym, D-A.R.V.O. It stands for deny, attack, reverse, victim, offender. So have you ever approached your partner about something that you're feeling or you're worried about or you're upset about? And somehow by the end of the conversation, you're apologizing to them. And you're confused of like, unsure of how that even happened. Here you were, let's take a woman in betrayal trauma where she's upset and scared about behaviors that she's seen or maybe red flags that she's seen, or she found something that looks like her husband might be acting out again. And when she approaches him, he somehow is able to turn that conversation around to where by the end she's apologizing for feeling the way she felt, or apologizing for approaching him, or apologizing for her approach, or whatever. But the situation changes to now where she came as feeling like the victim and left as the offender. So let me go through each of these steps and listen for if you've ever had this happen. And if you have, there's no shame in it. It's just we want to learn how to step out of it. And if you're the person who's done this, for you, you can go, oh my goodness, I realize what I'm doing. I'm not going to do that anymore. So let me go through each of the steps one by one and quickly go over what they are. So DARVO, D is for deny. So let's give the example of the partner shares a suspicion she have. Now, if her spouse wasn't in a place that he was ready to own up to it, or he was still hiding, lying, justifying, minimizing, he might say things like, oh, you're imagining things, or I don't know what you're talking about. Or it could be something like, oh, I can't believe you'd even think that about me. Or what are you snooping around in my phone for? All of these things are forms of denial of what was placed in front of them. Next is attack. And with the attack, these could be so subtle. Like, I'm not sure what you're even talking about. I love you so much, and I can't even imagine you would think I would do this to you. Or it could be really overt of like, what's wrong with you? You've got some serious trust issues. You need to work through your betrayal trauma. Yeah, you really should take a look at yourself. Or they could be, yeah, I just think you have been really stressed out with the kids and stressed out with work. I think you're kind of imagining things. They change it to an attack to where you're doing something wrong. That moves us into the R, which is reverse. So you can already see we're kind of shifting this momentum, right? Where it was about the thing that you brought them, and now we're shifting into you have done something wrong. Something is wrong with you. And with the shift, we move to the next V, where you have been the victim. And I hate using the word victim, but it works with the DARVO analogy. But you have been a victim in this situation, or you have been the person who is offended. And now all of a sudden you have moved out of that role and they move into that role. You have offended them. They are hurt because you would ever think such a thing. They are hurt or they're angry because you would even suspect them. And now you have become the bad guy. You have become the offender. So this pattern of DARVO that happens can happen so quickly, or it can happen slowly through a conversation. But this pattern, if we can learn to start recognizing it, we can start stepping out of it. It's hard to recognize when you're in the moment. It is hard to recognize when it's something that has happened consistently over time. This is a form of gaslighting, and gaslighting is a form of abuse. And if you don't know the definition of gaslighting, gaslighting is, in essence, when somebody tries to change your reality. So you show up to this situation and you feel this one way, and then by the end, somebody's convinced you that you think or feel differently. That's a form of emotional abuse. And whether the other person means to do it, right? Intent versus impact, whether their intention was there or was not, the impact is still there. And this is really damaging to have this type of pattern in a relationship. So hopefully this helps a little bit in your understanding of what it is. So whether you're on either side of it, you can step out of these patterns and start to create healthier patterns in your relationships.